endodontic, overfilling, good or bad? I'm Professor Hussain Al-Huwaizi. I'm the professor in the College of Dentistry, University of Baghdad. Endodontic failure, really, there are many ways how endodontic failures can be diagnosed. First of all, signs and symptoms, clinical pathology of the case, and radiography. These three ways can make us feel or understand that we have got a failure in any endodontic treatment. Endodontic failure can happen according to many problems. It's not just overfilling, maybe related to the access opening, maybe due to diagnosis of the anatomy of the tooth, or instrumentation, debridement, fractures. So it's not just overextension of the obturation material. As we can see here, that this is a very big lesion that has made these teeth, lower anterior teeth, non-vital. But when I did obturation to the 4 anterior teeth with extrusion of the sealer, as you can see here, you can see after some time, total healing happened. So overfilling is not something that is harmful, but sometimes if we can do it correctly, it might be beneficial. First of all, we're going to talk about the anatomy. We all understand in the apical region, we've got the apex and the apical foramen here, and there is a possibility of many lateral canals. So any periapical lesion will be due to the extrusion of the bacteria and its byproducts through the main canal and the lateral canal. And this is a close-up of what we may see, the main apical foramen and lateral canals further away. The prevalence of the lateral canals are always most in the apical region. It's seen here that 17% are in the apical region. So it is important that I address this area cautiously. You can see here, these are on my cases whereby I've got lateral canals in the apical region and double lateral canals here. The periapical lesion always may produce root external resorption in the apex, maybe horizontal, angulated. Whenever root resorption happens, that means that the apical constriction position will be changed in position and in size. We may see like this by Srija et al. In 2008, that the the apex is completely destroyed by external resorption. So the apical foramen is completely changed in position and shape. And this is another tooth whereby you can see the external resorption and how much resorption has done, and you can see that the foramen has been changed in position and size. Machudo in 2018 showed a case whereby I've got the distal root had a lot of external resorption in the apical region. After instrumentation and obturation, you can see that the obturation is over here, and the let's say the anatomical tip of the root is further away. But that is because there's a lot of external resorption here, and I have to rely on my apex locator so that I see the minimum constriction of the root and where it's situated. And as a follow-up, you can see that the remaining tooth structure has been resolved and a lot of good healing happened. So, and this is one of my cases whereby I obturated and I thought that I'm under by 1 millimeter, when really the external resorption due to the extensive lesion has made a lot of resorption in the apical region, and the apical constriction position and size has changed. And you can see the lateral canal being filled. When we use the conventional hand instruments, when we place our file inside, we will see that the file will be entangled in the coronal, middle, and the apical region. That's why when I want to widen the apical region, I can do that efficiently. It's important that I make the shape of my root canal so that I can fill it efficiently. But with the conventional hand instruments, they have many problems. They are stiff. There's a possibility of perforation, transportation, ledging, zipping. These problems, they will make the apical region not very smoothly widened. That's why obturation will end up with certain areas that are unobturated or obturated with resorbable sealer. Another problem is blocking the apical area by debris. That's why it's important that the irrigation has to go with a lot of sonic or ultrasonic agitation. You can see here that the conventional technique whereby we rely on the tight contact between the file and the canal has made a lot of slight voids between the gutta-percha and the root canal, and you can see that there is a lot of pathology in this region. The step back technique is much better, but it has to remove much dentine that is really undesirable. The crown down technique here, it is much better because we start from the coronal area with a very wide and large instrument like this 3508. We go down to the middle region with taper 06. Then we go even further with 3006. Then to the apical region 2506, and widen the or ensure a good patent canal with 2006. The crown down technique is very important because it will ensure that the apical region will be managed at the end so that no irregularities happen and no breach to the apical construction, so that no overfilling would happen. So you can see by the rotary instruments, the problem with the rotary is that when this rotary instrument enters and it cuts in the coronal or coronal in the middle region, always the apical part of the root is for guidance of the root. That's why sometimes we may see that here there's contact and cleaning and debriding, but in the apical region we may leave areas that are not debrided. The apical foramen, it has been stated, if it becomes of a size 40, it is twice as likely to extrude materials than size 20. So it's imperative that the apical region or the apical foramen stays as small as possible so that I don't extrude over sealer or gutta percha.